Captain, incoming message.
It was the dawn of the third age of mankind.
Groovy.
Hi-ho. This is me, Kermit the Frog.
Hello there.
Moopsie.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Not a great plan.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Let's see what's out there. Engage.
Hey there, we're those Sci-Fi guys, and this is the Sci-Fi Guys show. Just two working dudes, different lives, different jobs, with a whole lot of love for science fiction and the fun that comes with. We are your hosts. I am P.S. McKay, and well, crap, I didn't prepare anything today, which is normal. So, you know, how you doing, DT?
I'm DT Cathman, and I am always happy to be doing this.
Well, that's good. That's good. Your host is your co-host is insufferable, but you know,
yes,
you make
that's
do.
True.
You know, you might as well be Jesus of a Sicily, Nazareth. Wait. Oh crap! I just. All right, cut. We're gonna start over.
Jesus,
no, I'm just kidding.
Jesus of Nazareth. Saint Francis of Assisi.
Of Assisi. That's what I was. And the judgment has started, everybody. Here we are. There it is.
Well,
I actually do study religion from a research standpoint, by the way, but you know, whatever.
I took theology in college. I had to study Western religions. I took an ideologies class.
Oof, ideology. That sounds. I took a rhetoric class.
This was a pre 9/11 ideology.
Okay. So here's the fun part.
In fairness, the guy who taught the class was an Afghani exile pre 9/11, who then left and went on to become a minister in the cabinet of the Afghani government.
You mentioned that previously. I forgot about that, though. You're right. Yeah.
Ironically enough, I'm also wearing the hat I wore in Afghanistan.
Yeah. Let's showcase you, sir. Nope, that's not. Nope, not. We don't want me. We don't want me. We want. Well, God. No. Let's. So there it is, everybody. There it is. Isn't that nice?
Mountains. Sword, rifles, Afghan flag. You know.
Damn. So wait a minute. What kind of hat is that?
It's a baseball hat. But that was our unit. That was our unit patch.
Okay. Now, who develops the unit patch? Someone in the unit or someone outside?
So this was a legitimate. This is like this was the ISAF patch, you know, the patch I was required to wear.
Okay.
So I don't know
On your
who
uniform?
designed it. Yeah, like we had a subdued version of this on my shoulder. It was the
sword. Gotcha.
No, definitely a sword. It was just not in color.
Okay. I gotcha. Because we got the
International
little
Security Assistance Force.
Just repeat that. I was talking over you. Repeat it one more time.
It was ISAF, International Security Force Assistance. Excuse me, Security Assistance Force.
Okay. Well, I mean, the reason why I ask is we have the little bug for. It wasn't your platoon, was it? In the bottom right hand corner of our show.
It was my company, actually.
Your company, which you had someone in your company draw and put together, yeah.
Yeah.
And we have it here as a little bit of an homage to them. and your background, which I'm more than happy to do. I was just curious though if that patch would have a similar background.
So units come up with call signs, right? So you have official heraldry, which the United States, each service has their own Department of Heraldry, which you have to have for major units like regiment, brigade, and above. So you're talking like 3,000 to 5,000 and above, but more independent structures. So we also have historical units, like you have the 1st Regiment of Cavalry, and back in the day, the regiment was what they built the military, the army units around, right? A regiment was supposed to be 10 companies, 1,000 men. Okay. 1st Cavalry Regiment, the 2nd Cavalry Regiment. Okay. I served in the 8th Squadron of the 10th Cavalry Regiment. There weren't actually 8 squadrons. It was just how some numerical thing came up. But I think at one point it topped out at 4 during the War on Terror. But the 10th Cavalry, our heraldry, was a buffalo, because the 10th Cavalry were one of the historic African American cavalry units that was formed after the Civil War, the Buffalo Soldiers. So the 10th Cavalry, its unit crest is the buffalo. And I had some good units with some good crests, but nothing was as good as the 10th Cavalry crest. It's fucking beautiful, man.
And that's this one?
Oh, no, neither one.
Well, then why are you talking about? We can't see it. Can you get it?
Yes.
Okay. Are you going to be able to share it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Share screen. Got it.
Just going to go ahead and I'm just going to play an interlude here.
My protege, you should know that the only way to deal with a female adversary is to seduce her.
There it is.
Mr. Brand.
Add to state, please. We're going to remove you. Okay.
Let's do this.
Usually
better
listeners.
It is like the coolest crest. You can see the buffalo right here.
Okay.
It's a but all sorts of units.
You keep removing. I keep trying to add it. You're removing it.
Well, I'm trying to find the right one.
Okay.
Don't you remember when Google was just a lot easier when it came to getting the pictures blown up?
Yes, it used to be a lot easier, and it wasn't even that long ago. 20 years ago. I know. We're a quarter through this century, dude.
Yes, here we are. Let's see if we can blow this sucker up a little bit better. There we are. Beauteous. I got it. So share, and immediately just pull it in, big dog.
Okay. Oh, that's the one?
Yep. Was among the simpler of the unit crests, because each thing, everything in a unit crest has to have some sort of meaning, right? The buffalo, the line it's on, the scroll, ready and forward, the motto, right? So that was the 10th Cavalry Regiment. So these crests, your unit would have regimental crests, even if you were the 1st Battalion or the 2nd Battalion, you're a subset. Now the subset of a battalion's about anywhere from 400 to 800 people, is the company. You've heard a lot about companies. Easy Company from Band of Brothers, so like there's not a heraldry for a company, okay? Because the names change a lot and whatnot. So I was assigned to an infantry unit at the time. It was actually what they call a combined arms regiment. But 1 second here. And I know we just took it down, so I'm trying to pull up another one so it shows that it's pretty. That's not good. I don't want that.
Well, I mean, you've made your point. It's okay. It's fine.
Well,
We've seen it.
I've got one thing for you, okay?
Okay.
Because some of this actually kind of fits with what we're discussing tonight, okay?
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
So let's see, we got this here. You might have to crop this just a tad.
I don't know how to crop. It's crap if I crop.
How's this? Can you see this?
Yeah, that works.
So this is the crest of the 18th Infantry Regiment. But you can see knives and bow and arrows and the fleur-de-lis and all of these things. There's things that mean that, like where they fought and whatnot throughout history. But the 18th Infantry, we were the first battalion of the 18th Infantry. We were a mechanized unit, so we had tanks and Bradleys. I commanded a tank company, and my tank company, they're all alphanumeric, so it's A, B, C, D, E, or whatever, right? So you have an alliterative name, right? So if you're A company, you might have, I think they were called assault or attack, and then B was
Bravo,
battle, and C, we were chaos.
Sorry.
And you can Google online and try to find, like, what does chaos look like, right? What would be a good icon?
I'll tell you what chaos looks like. It looks like this guy right here.
Yeah,
That's yeah.
You have like, we had ones that were like dog company, and they were like a big bulldog with like fangs. Attack was like, some sort of warrior, and battle was another type of warrior. We were chaos. Chaos is a very hard concept to find an example of. A lot of skull iconography in the army. But so I said, I don't know, let's figure something out. I had a guy who worked for me, or a guy in my unit when I was the commander, and we were on this bus ride from training to another spot, and I was sitting next to him, getting to know him. And he dropped that he had used to be a comic book artist, and for a while he worked on when Dark Horse had the Star Wars comics. So he, prior to 9/11, was actually drawing Star Wars as a comic book artist, which was pretty cool. And well, it was really cool. And I'm like, oh. So as we were kicking around, like wanting to have a unit icon to go when we were getting ready to deploy, I pulled him aside. I'm like, you did Star Wars, right? You know that crest that Boba Fett has? Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm like, can you use that as like a base and like twist it around and give us something that's kind of like that, but definitely does not infringe on any copyright? He's like, okay. And so he gave us a couple of examples. We narrowed it down to 2, and then we had, we had the all the senior leaders in the company vote on it, and this one down here in the corner is what won. And so we put that shit on everything. It ended up on the corner of slides and memos. When we got downrange, we got it on T-shirts. And this is where my love of sci-fi really kind of shone through. So this artist this soldier, actually, the sergeant. He was a really great sergeant, but he also was a fantastic artist. So when we were designing the T-shirt for us to wear downrange, on the back was going to be that logo just big across the back, right?
Yep.
And then the front was going to have the U.S. Army armor logo, which is a tank over crossed sabers, and those are that's a branch insignia. Okay, so like infantry is crossed rifles, cavalry is crossed sabers. Since armor grew out of cavalry, that's why the tank is on the crossed sabers. But
Mm-hmm.
you have artillery is crossed cannons, MP are two crossed pistols. Medical, of course, is the caduceus. Aviation is like a propeller on over across some wings. So they all have neat looking crests, right? And like our signal, because signal was the old wigwags, is two crossed flags, signal flags, which is nice. Everybody has some neat iconography, right? Some sort of symbol. So we put the gold tank and sabers on the chest. Chaos was written literally in chaos font, where it's like all scratchy and kind of wild looking, right? And then we were 118 infantry, and he had the weird, crazy font for chaos over it, the tank and sabers. Underneath, the 118 was in the same lettering as the font for Star Trek: The Next Generation opening credits.
Okay.
Which he did for me, because I told him, in addition to Star Wars, I was a big Star Wars nerd, a Star Trek nerd, and he
Fan. I
signed
should have said fan, but that's okay.
for me. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
He didn't tell anybody else. That's the font he used for that. And I recognized it, and I told him that was fucking awesome. But he did that for me. I didn't ask him to do it, but he did it for me. And it means a lot to me. So
Sure.
in many ways, I have taken this little icon as almost like a personal symbol.
Mm-hmm.
We literally put it on everything. T-shirts. We bought little patches. We had patches made that we were handing them out to people, put on Velcros. We made stencils and put them on our offices and all over the place. And then our maintenance shop got some metal and made a huge one and welded it and mounted it at the top of the maintenance bay. And then when I was leaving Iraq, they made me a patch. It was I was in the 1st Infantry Division. Our unit patch is basically like a long pentagon with a red one in the middle of it, right? So that's
Okay, yeah.
that's the division.
Yeah.
That's 15,000 people, right? Those are the common ones people see more around. But the big red one, that patch. And then they made a small one of these chaos logos out of metal and mounted it over this wooden one plaque. It's so cool, man. I'd show you, but it has, a lot of information etched into it. But that is one idea was because I was a big Star Wars fan, right? The creation of the logo. The fact that I was also, at least to this guy, a known Star Trek fan is why our T-shirt had the font. And that meant everything. But that is so much indicative of how sci-fi became ingrained in who I am and my life. I think there's no better example than that.
Groovy.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we're going to be talking a little bit more about this, but that's the subject for today. Like, um, when I was away in Tahoe, I was talking to my children about how this is awkward. My wife's in the other room right around the corner right now, so she could hear. we, I was talking about how I had proposed to my wife at the time, and the funny part was, like, the kids didn't really ask how I proposed, but I think we were talking about how proms and promposals are a thing,
Right.
and
And it is, or it was.
I mean, I genuinely don't remember how the subject came up, but it was, I brought up about how I proposed to my wife, which was basically when I decided to propose, I bought the ring 8 weeks before I was going to propose. I sat on it. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And
I was kind of in a similar position
yeah,
myself. I feel you.
yeah. So I'm walking through downtown LA in the jewelry district, and I walk in, and by the way, these jewelry vendors, they're vicious, man. They jump right on you. They can smell fresh meat, and they're gonna pounce, and they're gonna try to keep you there the entire time. And unfortunately, I was that one guy that didn't shop around, but I still got a really good deal. I did the research on it and everything, so it was fine. But so I sat on the ring for about 6 to 8 weeks, and I thought about, like, proposing in New England or something, or whatnot, and I mean, it just wasn't going to happen, not at that time of year. It was late winter, about to be spring. So what I did was, I I remembered an old story that Beverly Crusher had talked about, and this is from the episode season 4, episode 3. The missus is leaving now, so I can actually talk about it. Huh?
I already know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, whatever. So it was season 4, episode 3, the episode 2, Family. It was the episode where the Enterprise was undergoing a refit, and because of the Borg incursion, and they needed to, basically get a tune-up, figure all that stuff out. So most of the crew was able to visit their family on Earth, and as it turned out, Beverly was able to get some of her deceased husband's belongings from storage, and she was there with Counselor Troy, where they're going through the things, and then Troy pulls out a book called "How to Advance Your Career Through Marriage." Like, she asks it that way. She looks at it and turns to Beverly, "How to advance your career through marriage?" And Beverly laughed, and she grabs the book, and she goes, "Yeah, that was Jack's way of proposing to me." Yeah, it was actually kind of cute, with the way he went about it. Well, I had heard that when I was 11, maybe 12.
Yeah.
First time during syndication, and that kind of stuck with me. So, I mean, this is literally the most blatant way that sci-fi has influenced my life, in the sense that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead. I went ahead and I bought a book called Chicken Soup for the Bride's Soul, and I put it in a gift bag. And the funny part was, like, for Valentine's Day, we didn't really do much that year. I mean, we went out to dinner or something, but we actually don't exchange much in the way of gifts even now for Valentine's Day, but we do nice things for each other.
Sure.
That year we didn't really do much. We're still trying to figure out things, but it wasn't,
Of course,
a bad thing. But but the following month, it was literally March 16th. I went ahead, I bought the book, I put everything in. My wife worked on Saturdays at the time, and so I put everything on the side table, and she worked a half day. She worked in the morning that day, So I went ahead, I got a haircut that morning, and I was nervous as all hell. And so I even called her. I'm like, so do you know when you're getting out? And she goes, oh, a normal time, maybe 12:30. I'm like, okay, well, take your time. And she's like, what? I'm like, nothing, never mind, bye. So she already knew something was up. So she, the way the apartment is, I put the gift next to the front door of the apartment on the table, and she walks in, and she's like, hey, what's going on? And I'm sitting on the couch like, oh boy, okay, oh boy, okay. I'm good. By the way, I got you something over here. And it was, I put the book in the bag, and then but I put the ring and box underneath the tissue paper underneath the book. So so I'm like, by the way, I got you something, saw it in the store, figured you'd like it. And she's like, huh? Okay. So she grabs the bag. She's like all suspicious. Like, what is this? I don't know. She pulls out the book, looks at her like, are you kidding me? What? I'm like, well, there's actually something else in the bag for you. And she's like, what? And she panics and she like rips out the tissue paper, which has the ring in the box go flying across the room. And so she scrambles to grab it off the floor. I proposed and everything, but the way I proposed to my wife was the way it was told Jack Crusher proposed to Beverly. That's my life, right? The whole beginning of our marriage. I mean, there's lots of beginnings of marriage, but one of the pivotal points where I actually asked her to marry me was directly influenced by Star Trek.
I know, right? Seminal moments in your life can be very traced back to our fandom. So that is fantastic, by the way. That's great job. I especially love the part where she threw the wedding ring across the room.
It went flinging. She didn't throw it intentionally. Obviously. I know. She was panicking because it was like, oh, this is happening right now. Okay. I mean,
you want to know what else is happening?
4 years at that point. So, but yeah,
that's happening right there.
What?
That you were together 4 years. How long have you been married now?
Oh God, coming up on 18 years next month, actually.
Yeah. Same.
So we've been together for 22 years.
we got married. We're coming up on 18 ourselves this winter. So, but
yeah,
and I didn't Star Trek or Star Wars anything in the proposal, but
no.
I do have relation to my previous story.
Oh, there it is. There's the shirt. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, we can see it.
Stupid background.
I know. Well, you got to get a green screen if you want to do this stuff. I've been thinking about it, but
not easy being green screened. Just remember.
No, it's not. At least you have a plain background.
Yep. And because that's the symbol. But there you go.
Oh, chaos. See? There it is.
Chaos right there. Chaos. But there is.
Yep, there's the font.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That is it, man. That's
nice.
The winner.
That works, man.
And it and it's all because I had a good working relationship with a very talented soldier. And
all types join the army, everybody.
Yeah, all types. I mean, literally, there would be times, I would be ordering Amazon and my pack, people are like, oh, sir, what'd you get? Pop open the Amazon box. Oh, sweet, the latest Star Trek novel. And they're like, well, what the fuck? So on my very first tour, we were in Iraq in Baghdad, and I was on this base that had been, I got there in December of 2005 was my first tour. And So clearly, so we'd been in Iraq for a couple of years by that point. And so, this base we were in, there was some common areas that had, like, there was in the first building I lived in, there was kind of a rec room with, like, I think a ping pong table, a couple of couches, and a big TV. And there was also like a whole wall of bookshelves, just all sorts of books, either people brought or, you know, mailed to them, and a lot of them were donation books. So, like, two of my favorite authors that I liked to read, particularly on deployments, were Louis L'Amour, a lot of Western books, and Robert B. Parker, mostly the Spencer novels about the Boston Private Eye. Spencer was, here's a great sci-fi connection. His sometimes partner was this guy who kind of, walks in the gray area, kind of sometimes works for the bad guys, sometimes works for the good guys, but the guy's name is Hawk, only Hawk. And in the TV show in the 80s, Robert Urich was Spencer, but Avery Brooks, that was his breakout role as Hawk. And he was very well known for his fine suits and his fine cars and a big gun, but he had the goatee and the bald head. And when Cisco went to that look, and it's like, that's what I'm talking about. That's a captain you don't fuck with. I'm like,
will
oh
say,
my
I was
God, he got
unfamiliar
so
with,
much better.
I was unfamiliar with Spencer for Hire and the character of Hawk and everything. So, but I did like Cisco's new look. I didn't like the goatee with his hair. When he got rid of his hair and he had the goatee, I really liked him. I mean, I liked that look a lot better.
They had to phase it in, right? They finally let him,
really
he
did.
grow facial hair, and he wore that for like 4, maybe 3, 4 episodes, and then he gets to come in.
Yeah,
it was like the last 3 or 4 episodes of season 3. He did that, and then he shows up in Way of the Warrior, and him
bald
sitting
and
there with
ready to
his
go.
legs crossed and his fingers tented like this on the bridge of the Defiant, with the goatee and the bald head, and you're like, ooh, he maybe not the guy I want to throw down with,
We all know
Cisco
the best
with hair
captains in Star Trek are the bald
maybe
ones.
you think, maybe you can throw down with and survive with with Cisco with hair, but bald Cisco, I don't know, man.
Cisco with hair punched Q straight in the face. Are you kidding me? He didn't even.
Well, that's true. I didn't say he wasn't.
That.
I wasn't said he wasn't great. He was just way more badass. I mean, sure, you can punch a godlike being in the face, but can you make the Klingons think twice about attacking you? Bald Cisco did that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And you're right. It was okay. So he got the goatee in Explorers season 3, episode 22.
Which kind of made sense because he and Jake were kind of taking some time off to build and fly. So,
right.
He's like,
so
screw it.
It was 5 episodes. 5 episodes. He had the goatee before he shaved his head.
I mean, it looked good. He looked good with facial hair. And it was a lot, but it looked the best was when he was bald. He had 3 looks, and the best was bald with the goatee.
Which is why I have my goatee now. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't grow my goatee because of Cisco. It would be a pale imitation of what he had.
And in the pale moonlight imitation.
Yeah, that's true too.
But man, like, so I would read these books, right? And like you can find them all, like at secondhand bookstores, because they were so popular for so many years. Louis L'Amour, Spencer books, that you always find them in used bookstores, always find them in like the little, pop-up little, library books. There's always somebody had them, but like I read like a bunch of those books on the tour, but also I was ordering like through Amazon and getting mailed to me a week later the occasional Star Trek book. And then one time I had a duplicate order somehow. I didn't have to pay for it, but they double sent me. It was one of Peter David's New Frontier novels. So, I had two of them. I'm like, whatever. And I had moved to another building where we had started kind of our own small library. It was like a little bookcase and then like a top where people just stacked books. Because again, internet was a little more limited. It wasn't streaming. People were buying bootleg DVDs.
Yeah,
Some
streaming was
guys,
not as much of a thing back then,
not
especially
in
where you were.
2005, it wasn't at all a thing.
It actually started in 06, by the way.
Yeah, I know, but not where we were.
I know. I mean, especially where you were, it was not. But yeah.
But like, I put it down and somebody picked it up. It was like, oh, hey, oh, cool. And then like he's like, oh, it's like, yeah, I haven't read a Star Trek book in a while. And he like just disappears. I'm like, there are some still in. There's some out here, man. There's some out here. Like you could definitely get a group of, like I definitely had a few friends and we got together and went to see Revenge of the Sith in the movie theater. Star Wars, it's, space action and fantasy, Same group of dudes I went, a couple of them were same group of dudes I went to see Return of the King with a couple of years before. So, I mean, they're actually, the Army has a lot of, at least when I came in, there was a lot of Tolkien readers. I had guys who were like, oh yeah, I read the Silmarillion. I'm like, I tried to read the Silmarillion. I couldn't get through the first chapter. That was a tough one.
Tolkien in his later years, he got dense. Like not dumb dense. He got dense.
The writing was dense. It was very dense.
It was,
you're right.
Yeah.
But ironically enough, flash forward to 2017 when I was in Afghanistan and I opened up a drawer in this desk I took over and there was a brand new, looked like never been cracked open copy of the book, A Game of Thrones. And I had just finished binging all the way up to season 6 because I was a late starter.
Yeah.
I had people like using their, using like their HBO password or whatever to download stuff, and we're putting them on shared drives. And
Game of Thrones was the whole reason why we got HBO back in 2012, and I shared the memory on Facebook, which you liked, of when I
did remember that.
Yeah, when I was like, okay, well, we're gonna get started on Game of Thrones now, and this was in August 3rd or 4th of 2012, and I'm like, we're going to get started. Here we go. And I'm like, well, this is when it started, guys.
I didn't start watching Game of Thrones until December of 2016. Earlier, like a couple months before, we had gone to, it was like kind of like a border, or it's kind of like a, kind of like a Borders. It was called Hastings. And they were like a chain that, did books and movies and stuff like that. But the chain was going out of business and the one near us. So we went in to try to find deals. And, Game of Thrones, instead of season 1 being like $50, it was like $30. So I'm like, yeah, okay. And then I started binge watching it when, my wife and kid were visiting my in-laws up near Dallas. And I had to stay down an extra day to work with my new peer coming in, and it was so like that night I like well, might as well. I heard it's not something good to have. I knew my wife would hate it, and I knew it was something I couldn't play with a 4-year-old around. So I'm like, or a 5-year-old. So I'm like, all right. And I watched like the first episode. I'm like, man, this shit's good. And so like I watched like 3 more, and then next thing I know, it's midnight. I'm like, well, one more. Go away on Christmas break, come back from Christmas, tell everybody, it was because my office was all my junior officers were like, can't wait for the next season of Game of Thrones. It's who would you be? Would you be a Stark or a Lannister? I'm like, I have no idea what they're talking about. Now I'm like, dude, I get it. I think I finished season 1 over that Christmas break. And then I came back and I was talking to like the one ringleader. He's like, I'm starting to get it, man. I got to go out and buy the next DVD. He's like, oh, sir, don't. I had downloaded all of mine. that was back when people started like ripping off of DVDs and putting them on like hard drives, so you could like. This is
I have
especially
no
prevalent
idea
with
of what you
soldiers.
speak. I have no
Well,
idea.
no, a lot of it was dudes putting them on a hard drive so they could take it downrange with them,
Right.
rather than carry, a ton of DVDs. They have this big external hard drive they would take with them. They could plug into their computer and watch the DVDs. They just had to rip it.
I
So,
mean, what
he-
entertainment company would sue the shit out of the U.S. Army for doing that? By the way,
don't tempt people. So he lent
I'm
me.
just
is
saying,
to-
like they would come off as assholes.
Yeah.
I mean, completely.
hasn't
They would be
stopped.
completely ungrateful.
All I'm saying is that he let me borrow it so I could watch them. It was good. I caught up on it. It was a lot of fun to catch up, and then I made it all the way up through Battles of Bastards, and then I was in Afghanistan jonesing for season 7 when somebody's like, "I've got it. I downloaded." It takes an hour. It takes 2 hours to download an episode, but like I'm going to download it tonight when I'm in my room off my account, and then like
2 hours an episode.
and then we would like crowd into a little corner of like the little USO building, and watch an episode at a time.
Okay,
In
so
fact,
let me ask.
we were in a terminal waiting to fly out of Afghanistan, and there's 6 of us crowded around watching somebody's like iPad watching an episode.
Yeah. Oh God.
But that's things like that. Like, I found it back in 2006 when Battlestar Galactica was coming out. I think I mentioned it. Like, I had buddy who had a friend burning him onto CDs and sending him over to us overseas the current season, and like 4 of us are crowded in his hooch, and we're watching these DVDs of the latest season of Battlestar Galactica, because I happened to find a couple of guys I was friendly with, and turns out we were all kind of sci-fi fans. And it's funny, right? Like, so people think like, oh well, the dudes in the military, it's all about college football and skull and shooting and hunting. I'm like, well, yeah, there's quite a lot of that. I met a lot of those dudes, but a few of them also like, woo, Star Wars too. And it's like, okay, like, I mean, it's funny because like I've seen some YouTube videos where people are like, what do people who identify as conservatives find appealing about Star Trek? Like, you can't watch it if you are conservative at all. And I always felt that I was, and this is, I'm going to get into a debate of word usage. I am conservative, little c, not a conservative. And by that, I mean, I'm very middle of the road. I'm not a big fan of extremist in any direction.
You don't jump to
Exactly.
immediate action.
A conservative estimate would be 5 out of 8,
Yeah, no, that's the difference between conservative small c versus conservative big C.
Exactly. I tend to fall on the political
It is a
spectrum,
shared
and
trait, but
it-
what you're
it-
saying
it's-
is a thing. Yes.
right. Basically, when people try to get me to say anything political, what's your political belief? Well, I'm a centrist. Well, what does that mean? Well, to me, it means I want gays to be able to get married and have guns. It's both sides of the aisle.
Good answer. Good answer. I'm going to get political here right now too. The election of 1896 was the most corrupt election of the United States history, and you will not be able to convince me otherwise. I'm sorry.
Oh, McKinley.
Yep.
Was that McKinley and William
No,
Jennings Bryan?
1876.
Oh,
It was 1876 with Buchanan. Oh, you knocked down your beer, didn't you?
1856 was James Buchanan.
No, it wasn't Buchanan then. It was 1870. Shit. Yeah, all right, now I'm just ruining the joke. Now I'm ruining the joke. Yeah. Look at you. Just knowing them all. God damn it. Who was the loser of 76? 1876.
1876.
Hey, he's not at his desk.
Horace Greeley.
Son of a bitch. Really? I just read a whole book detailing 10-page essays of every single president in the United States. And yet here you are just throwing out who the loser of 1876 was. Jesus.
Well, Mr. Go West young man, big newspaper dude, it just didn't really go his way, especially since he was running on a Democratic ticket against a guy who had been a general for the Union in the Civil War.
I was actually quite shocked with how popular the Democrats were post Civil War. Like, there were a lot of Democrats in the North and stuff, but no Democrat really won unless they were from the South, which is interesting.
Northern Democrats were kind of split. That's why there was the Northern Democrats who wanted to sue for peace, and then there were Northern Democrats who didn't want to sue for peace, and so that's why the Democratic Party kept losing, is that they were split during that time period.
Yeah.
A lot of the Democrats are basically what the Republican Party is now.
Yeah, there was a very big. At some point, the party split. The party switched positions in the '60s. But that being said, we're not here to do a political analysis here. We're here to talk about how science fiction influenced our lives.
Well, I know a bit about the Hayes. I know a bit about the Hayes presidency because I went to the man's house.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it was near us in Ohio, so we decided to swing over there. It was cool. Plus, huge Civil War buff right here. Which again,
yeah, of course.
You want to talk about seminal things that made you who you are, right?
Well, hold on. The most successful president of the United States, James K. Polk, only was there for 4 years because he didn't want to be there any longer. But he got all of his campaign promises done, got the country going really well, and just left. No one knows who he is. Most successful president in U.S. history.
He was a dark horse winner too,
and he was, but
he also knew that he was going to lose to Zachary Taylor because Taylor got so huge. That's why he fired him during the Mexican War, and he still was popular.
That's also true. You fucking asshole! You're just like throwing this shit out here. You're building off of the little tidbits that I'm throwing out. God damn it!
I've got a stack of 4 books that were cornerstones of my teenage year, like my late, my tween and teen years.
Microphone is pointed away.
Sorry. How's this better?
Okay. Yeah. I just, it would bother you otherwise. So
I've got a stack. You're right. It would bother me. I got a stack of 4 cornerstone books. Okay. From my tween and teen years. All right.
Oh, I remember that book. I held that book.
Oh, yeah. I've had this for 30 years. It is heavy.
It's the Encyclopedia of the Civil War for the visually impaired listeners.
The Historical Times Illustrated Encyclopedia of the Civil War.
How many pages is that?
And it did get watered down.
Bigger than a phone book from the 90s, by the way, everybody.
Yes. It goes... we're closing in on 850 pages.
Jeez Louise. And it's the size of an encyclopedia, so it's not a small book.
It is an encyclopedia. It is,
I know,
850 written pages.
I'm just talking dimension-wise, like height and width and stuff, so.
Oh, I know why. I siphoned out, I put this little picture in, or this little note for my kid who was doing, I think, a project on Harriet Beecher Stowe. That's who's in it here. But it's like a really great, at pre-internet or pre-Google reference for many major battles, units, people of the Civil War. The essential Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I loved this strip as a kid, as a teen, and nowadays, like I've subscribed to a Calvin and Hobbes fan page or a Facebook page where people, where people are posting the strips and they're still funny.
There's an X
in
account
the 80s.
that posts them once a day
Yeah.
that I subscribe to as well.
And in some ways, I kind of understand Calvin because I had a pretty vivid imagination as a kid, and
No,
he was one of those
no,
he's one of those kids that if he sees it, he can believe it, right?
right.
And he was very sci-fi, everything, Spaceman
Oh, yeah.
Smith. But also, the funny thing is, I literally had a commanding officer who looked like an adult Calvin. He was
No
short,
way,
he
really?
was blonde, and he looked like an adult Calvin. I shit you not. I kind of felt like Hobbs next to him. He was like 5'4". He made me feel tall.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
And then, as you, of course, were jealous of, the famed third volume,
Yeah,
all
the
color
one.
Star
All
Trek
color.
Encyclopedia.
No, it wasn't hardback, but it was all color. Yeah.
No, this wasn't. This includes up to, just added, 128 pages of the latest Star Trek info. I believe it covered all the way through the end of Deep Space Nine and the feature film Star Trek Insurrection. Pretty sure it covered all the way up through the end of Deep Space Nine. Because here's the funny thing, in addition to having an appendix, and for cast, they had multiple appendices for cast, for episodes. They had a timeline, both a real world timeline of the history of Star Trek, the actual episode by episode by episode of the series. It's been fucking tastic, by the way. Yep, Deep Space Nine, year 7. Now with Ezri.
Now with Ezri. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna send you something on Messenger, but don't worry about it. It's just a picture that I'm gonna actually post. It's Calvin and Hobbes related, so I'm
sure. And then the
I
last
just need to send it to the computer. So
of the 4 major cornerstones is the Star Wars Encyclopedia, which was from, I believe,
what year was that?
Mid-90s.
Okay.
The introduction was written by Timothy Zahn. So this is very much covers all the old Star Wars Expanded Universe from 1998. So this covered everything that was written, for the most part, things that were written until about just before they did the new Jedi Order and the Yuzong Bomb. So you have, and this is from all sorts of great,
you're hitting the mic. Be careful.
Sorry. All sorts of great ancient people, like from the legendary parts, including the Ewok cartoon from the 80s, which is completely unrelated to anything else. So this is, of course, pre-Phantom Menace. But you also have all these fascinating legendary characters from the extended universe, which I loved. I loved how they did these stories. Not all of them were winners, but most of them were. That is fantastic, by the way.
One of the greatest lessons that Calvin ever taught me. Heck, anyone can be good if he wants to be. The true test of one's mettle is being good when one has an innate inclination towards evil.
I know. That's such a great quote.
It's such a deep quote, man, for a 6-year-old.
And here's mine, buddy.
Here, let me maximize you. Oh, what is
Thrawn.
that? Oh, Thrawn. Yeah, of course.
Thrawn, as he appeared in the comics back in the 90s. The Timothy Zahn original Thrawn.
Yeah. Now, how was it? An original story with Thrawn, or was it a retelling of Heir to the Empire Thrawn?
This was they did a comic book of Heir to the Empire because it was popular, so they made a comic book afterwards.
Gotcha.
Yes, it was Heir to the Empire.
Okay.
Which, by the way, that may be some of the best Star Wars storytelling ever put to the page.
I got to buy the freaking hardbound book. I have the digital. I think I have the whole trilogy, the Thrawn trilogy, in digital format, but I can't read digital. It just
you know what I did? Because when I was working up north of the city, when I first came back east, I bought some digital, through iTunes. I bought audiobooks of Heir to the Empire and the Thrawn trilogy. And let me tell you, dude, first off, I got like the extended uncut version, which was not cheap, and it was like the Thrawn trilogy took me like a couple of weeks to get through.
Yeah,
just to drive. We're talking like 6 hours.
It's a big book. It's a big book. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And it was the guy who did the voices. Like this dude was like clearly a voice actor. And the way he did Thrawn was just so. And I really liked Lars Mikkelsen as Thrawn particularly in Rebels. It's not a very harsh voice, almost calm and menacing.
Well, that's the scariest kind.
And that's the best kind of Thrawn.
Did you ever see Pan's Labyrinth by Guillermo del Toro?
Guillermo del Toro? Yeah. I've not seen it.
It's a scary ass movie. And it's not because of the mythical characters, the fantasy things, or even the frightening visuals that were used. It's literally the Spanish general that was the stepfather. He was the scariest character I have ever seen in movie, book, or television format in my entire life. To this day, that character terrified me. He was a normal human being who was soft-spoken, and he did awful, awful things. And that is the power behind being soft-spoken. And they did it right by doing it with Zahn. But, I mean, if you get the chance to watch
Zahn did it with Thrawn.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But if you get the chance to watch Pan's Labyrinth, go in knowing that. Like the most terrifying bad guy I've ever seen, bar none, in any book or anything. Just horrifying.
Well, you see, Thrawn was an antagonist. I wouldn't exactly call him he was an Imperial officer, but like he was unlike many others. He wasn't cruel or for the sake of being cruel.
No, he was. I get it. I don't. It's a false equivalency in some circumstances.
Sure.
I'm just
he
trying
is
to talk
technically
about the menace
the villain
of it. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing about Thrawn. When he's done right, there is a menace to him.
Exactly.
When he's trying to, when he's done with people's shit, he does have some very deep, calculating menace that makes him such a fantastic villain, antagonist. He's maybe the best antagonist for the main Star Wars heroes ever created. And that goes for you, Palpatine.
Nah. Well, Palpatine was just evil.
I know.
Yeah.
And he was a master manipulator, and he was clearly, a mad genius, an evil genius, right? But he was also, an evil genius. Thrawn was a genius that worked for evil. If you figure out the distinction, like
it sounds convoluted, but it's not. It makes sense.
And the what always made Thrawn such a fantastic character is like when you're reading and you're like, oh no, this guy spoke up kind of out of turn. And like normally Imperials crush that. And then like Thrawn's like, oh, did you think I was going to punish you because you had a good idea and it wasn't mine?
Yeah.
That's not how I operate.
That's a good leader.
It is.
That's an intelligent leader.
But he occasionally had people executed on the spot.
Well, I mean, you have to in order to be a good leader. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So
you laughed. That was funny. You don't need to erase that laugh, by the way. It was
it's funny. So I listened to a sports radio here, a Boston sports radio, and that's all encompassing, hungry, the rabid fan base, right? But the morning show it's really, really good morning show. It does sports, it does news. One of the guys on the show is a huge Pokemon guy, loves Pokemon, buys cards, trades cards, go to these things.
Jesus, we've entered a new generation, haven't we?
Well, he's probably 15 years younger than we are. So
yeah, and there it is, so right there.
But huge, okay. Right? But they were also talking about Boston Fan Expo coming up.
He would have been he 16. He would have been 16 when Pokemon Go came out. So yeah, there you are.
Yeah. So that was something he was talking about. But like anytime his Pokemon stuff comes up, anytime like something pseudo nerdy comes up, like some of the old heads on the show are like doing like nerd voices, and it's like, come on, man. I mean, you're better than this for starters, okay? If you're going to go and talk about how you're going to go see the next superhero movie and then mock somebody in the stereotypical nerd voice for liking Pokemon.
Well, actually,
20 years ago,
Charizard
superhero guys, yeah,
level 3.
Exactly. That they would do that. And yes, sometimes, we can be overbearing with stuff, but I mean, it's like, come on, man. 25 years ago, a superhero movie was kind of on the fringe. Okay.
It was questionable if it would be successful. Yeah. I mean, I remember when X-Men came out, it didn't exactly, make waves. Also, the year 2000 was a terrible year for movies. It was just awful. You only had a couple movies. Everything else was a disappointment. The Patriot was like, I like The Patriot, don't get me wrong, but I don't know who it was made for, because everyone fucking died in that movie. Like, so you would have that conflict. Like, I mean, it was well done, and I appreciate it now, but I mean, a lot of movies, horror movies, were just awful that year. Anyway,
wow.
Continue.
I mean, but that's my point, right? Like, so like, there's still people who think like you have to, be a nerd, look like a nerd, talk and act like a nerd if you're gonna like nerd stuff, right?
Yeah.
But you can't be a guy like, and I'm just gonna say it, a guy like me. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school. I played football.
Yeah.
Wasn't great, but I played football. I swam. I ran track. Okay, I was a letterman. I had letters. I was a team captain. And yeah, I would go home and listen to country music, which was a little weird up here in the 90s.
Very,
And-
very weird at the time. Yeah.
And then go read watch Star Trek or read a Star Wars novel, because there was no Star Wars on TV or in the movies at the time, right? That was me, right? It was kind of an out there sort of thing, right? People were still trying to put you in the box. What do? I go up and I'm a college athlete, and then I become, an Army officer, and I lead troops in combat. And okay, yeah. Do I want to go and sit down, have a couple beers and watch a Patriots game or a Red Sox game? Go to Fenway? Yeah, I love doing that. Do I also want to, take some time this weekend and watch the latest episode of Strange New Worlds? Fuck yeah, I do. I mean, I do. But this is who I am. But this is who I always have been.
Of
right?
course. Of course.
I did,
Yeah.
and I was that 80s and 90s kid who did, did sports all year round. I did, it was soccer in the fall, basketball in the winter, Little League in the summer, or excuse me, in
We
the
all
spring.
were. We all
Swimming
were at a certain
and
age, yeah.
tennis in the summer and whatever. You
Mhm.
do all that. We were constantly playing outside, building snowmen, making forts in the woods, playing, with toy guns and pretending we were Ninja Turtles or something like that. Remember when
I was always
everybody
Leonardo.
grabbed a broomstick because everybody wanted to have the bow staff, and everybody
Well, I
had
made a bow staff.
everybody took somebody's like a broomstick, and somebody's mom was
Yeah.
always like, "Where the hell is the stick to the broom?"
I literally made a bow staff. I went to Home Depot with my father, bought a big ass dowel, like, about an inch thick. We lacquered that shit up. We stained it, and it was a finely made, bow.
Nope. I took the broomstick to an old push broom that the bristles were shot on. I wrapped poorly tape around the middle, not like athletic tape, for grip. No, just masking tape.
Yeah.
Always, and it was rarely flush in spots, but
Right.
that's what I
Yeah.
did. So, it was Donatello for Halloween one time.
Yep. Yeah. No, I had that bow.
If I could have found a
and
blue mask, I would have been Leonardo, because one, he was my favorite, and two, I had a wooden sword that I could have,
I remember that. Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, it was, but like, play out in the woods with that, and then then you and I would talk about Star Trek.
You want to, we took this episode, as an opportunity to talk about how science fiction has actually influenced us. And, my original intention was to talk about how it influenced our lives and how we made certain decisions and everything. And I mean, I don't know how many decisions there were that were based off of that, but I
Your
definitely
marriage?
patterned my marriage was the first one that came to mind. I mean, there were other examples of, like, when I have a point to this, so if you'll just bear with me. There was one example that I don't really want to go into too much, but at one point in my job, I got reamed the fuck out of, and I took it with dignity, because that's how Picard took it with Admiral Macheyev. And
yes,
I think you've had a few ass chewings in your career too.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was conditioned into you on how to take it, I'm sure, but little different in the
didn't
civilian
always go
side.
well either, though. Sometimes you can take the hot-headed New Englander out of New England, but you can't take it out of them. So there's a couple of times that be like, "Sir, I protest this strongly."
Yeah. I will say that everyone who's ass chewed me is no longer with the organization that I'm at now. So I'll just say that.
Oh, I see. He's got a list like Steve
I
Buscemi
do have
and Billy
a
Madison.
list. I just need my lipstick.
That's it. You
No.
just made the list.
Not at all. No, not in the slightest. But that being said, there's an interesting counter statement that needs to be talked about. And you were talking about how you would, you were this 3-sport guy in high school and stuff like that. I was a theater guy. I worked at the newspaper in my second high school, not the high school that you and I mutually went to. I made a lot of friends, a lot of new friends, and I actually had a very nice life in that second high school.
Sure. Not saying
was-
anything against any of that. All the
no,
power
no,
to
no,
you.
no. Here's my point though. I don't think any of them knew that I liked Star Trek. I don't think any of them really knew that I was much of a sci-fi person. Because I hid it. It was an opportunity for me
Remember,
to
folks,
reinvent
this was the
myself.
time when he was hiding Star Trek from the theater kids. Okay.
I mean, in middle school, I would bring Star Trek books to school, but they were paperbacks, and I would literally put book covers on them. I would take comics from the newspaper and make custom book covers for these paperback books that I would bring to school, so no one gave me shit while I read these things. So, and I've said that before, but like, I don't honestly think, like, even some of the people most closest to me during that time, I don't think they knew. You can't hear?
No, I did. I knew.
Oh yeah, you knew. Yeah, of course you knew. But I mean, we weren't talking that much. We talked over in Instant Messenger, and I would bother the shit out of you with making different icon, bold font things and things like that. But I mean, what does that say? Like, I don't think any of them knew. They knew I was kind of a geek. They knew I liked science and stuff. I was not the most intelligent person in that school, though. I definitely know. They all knew that. No one, no one disputed that I was not the most intelligent. That's for sure. But I made a name for myself in a certain way. But it wasn't the Star Trek guy. It wasn't the sci-fi guy.
Sure.
Because I hid that. So I mean, and that's a way that sci-fi has influenced me. It was a way to live. I mean, dare I say, in the closet, so to speak.
In your fandom, and we're not taking anything away, but you were kind of closeted.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I mean, I wasn't like the guy wearing a TNG T-shirt around, but like you wrapped up your books. I didn't. If I had a Star Trek novel, it sat on my desk.
Yeah, and you took the brunt of it. You took the brunt of it, and you also had your athleticism to help back you.
Yeah,
so
and in no way, folks, are we equating what it's like to have
No, we're just
hide who you are at your sexuality,
niche.
but
we're just pointing out a different niche in the other in society back in the 90s.
What was interesting about it too is like almost all the things that people were kind of niched and like kind of shunted off to the side is kind of open now. If you walk down the street wearing a Star Trek T-shirt, most people aren't going to harass you.
No,
probably because a lot of them don't know what it is. You're walking around wearing a Baby Yoda T-shirt. People are like, I love Baby Yoda.
Yeah,
they might not be able to tell you his name is Grogu, but that was a pop culture phenomenon.
I've had that happen. People have talked about my Baby Yoda shirt or my Star Wars shirt during it was a Star Wars with cobwebs, so it was a Halloween Star Wars shirt. But people talked to me about that like in the last 5 or 6 years. Yeah, that happened. Do you know how many Star Trek shirts I had that I refused to wear growing up? Refused. Several. And I never wore them outside because I knew that was going to give me shit.
I bought a Deep Space Nine Niners T-shirt.
I remember. And I mean, that was almost borderline.
This was only like 2 years ago.
That. Oh, okay. I was going to say, that's the... back in the 90s, that was quick.
That would have been hard to find merch back then.
Yeah, very hard. You would have had to go to a convention,
Star Trek convention.
Like that. Yeah,
not a con, a Star Trek convention.
Yeah, and they wouldn't, and they weren't coming to New England at the time. They were not. You would have to go to New York at best.
Yeah, there's not a lot of Trekkers coming. Well, not a lot of Trek folk coming to Fan Expo this year, I don't think. But consecutive Fan Expos, I got to watch a conversation with Shatner and Kate Mulgrew.
That's pretty cool.
23 and 24 respectively. So my kid and I are deciding maybe we're gonna go try to see Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen and Tamara Morrison and John Cena are gonna be there. So I don't know. We'll see.
Let me ask you this. Does your
Sure.
daughter understand the struggle that it was when we were her age?
No.
Have you talked about it with her at all?
A little, but I don't think she gets it. Actually, it's kind of
Why
funny.
would she?
Well, here's the
Right?
thing, right?
Yeah.
Like things like Star Wars and Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, they became such huge smashes 25 years ago that they kind of helped kick in the door. And then X-Men was successful and Spider-Man was successful.
Yes, because
So they kind of opened that, and then
money makers.
and while it was very gritty and real and pseudo real, the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy too, right? And then Iron Man blows the doors wide open, and then you start building, and now everybody wants to connect universes.
Right. Well, that's the thing. But I will argue the turning point was when it became accessible to the everyman. So X-Men was pretty accessible as a movie. So was Spider-Man, accessible as a movie. And then it didn't really, Fantastic Four kind of floundered and didn't work that well.
Yeah,
it worked really well. Harry Potter, though, was concurrent during 2001 up through 2012. That was accessible to the everyman because of the way it was written for the character, because everyone related to Harry in some way, shape, or form. And that's good. That's a good thing. And it probably wasn't that way in a lot of cases with other fantasy books. But that's fine too. I think that because it became accessible, they learned how to make it accessible to a lot of people. That's why Star Trek 09 was so successful. And why
Harry Potter is also maybe the most successful YA franchise of all time.
Young adult.
Because it really probably is.
I would agree. I think it's the most profitable of any book series, honestly. Yeah, you're not wrong. And it's just one of those things where they figured out how to make that stuff accessible by having certain characters be relatable to the everyman, not just the geek. They didn't cater it to the geek.
Well, what about Lord of the Rings? Because those trilogies were still very much what you would call high fantasy. But yet they were enormously successful commercially and critically.
I think it relied, first of all, it was still good writing. It was still good storytelling. It was still good world building. And the way Peter Jackson did it was very accessible to the casual viewer. And I can say that because when I saw the first movie, I didn't read the books at that point.
I hadn't read the books.
I found it very accessible. So, so to the casual viewer, it was okay. Give credit to Peter Jackson for that. The other part is the casting. Casting was really well done. I think a lot of the dialogue was interpreted in a certain way that the book didn't want it to be originally, but it was still faithful to how the characters were. Like
the characters were
the ribbing
faithful
between Gimli and Legolas. The characters themselves were still faithful, but the dialogue back and forth was probably
Aragorn. I'm told, because I didn't read it, but I'm told he was a little more. Well, he was more humble in the movies, which I think gave him a reluctant hero quality, which people tend to like.
Everyone loves a reluctant hero.
It's not that he's a
no
reluctant
one
hero.
likes someone who thinks that they're destined for something.
Right. It's not that he's a reluctant hero. He's very much all about helping people. He's a reluctant leader, I would say.
Yeah.
More than that.
And the greatest leaders are the ones that want to lead the least.
I don't want it.
Yeah, that's it. Right. I mean, our very country was founded on that basis. Our very first president didn't want to be president. He didn't want to do it. But he did because he answered the call for the nation that he helped found. He understood that they needed it.
To paraphrase Mel Brooks, he found out it's good to be the president.
Yeah. And what was it? Go ahead. Sorry. I was thinking an innocuous thing.
Our fandom did shape us in a lot of ways, right? So for me, becoming the soldier, who were examples of leadership that I started seeing as a kid. First one who was a true leader was probably Optimus Prime. Okay. While He-Man might have stuck with me first because it was a little younger, He-Man wasn't really a leader. He was kind of more, the honcho superhero.
Yeah, it was kind of a tool, not in a bad way, but he was a tool to key up and shoot the gun at. You know what I mean?
Right. But Optimus Prime was a leader, you know. And aside from his overwhelming martyr complex where he always has to sacrifice himself, which a good leader is willing to do if that's what it takes, sacrifice of themselves. He was a very good leader. He was strong, but he was, to quote Peter Cullen, when his brother explained to him how to be a good leader, strong enough to be gentle. And when I had a chance to meet Peter Cullen, I took a very short 15 seconds to tell him.
Yep.
Optimus Prime was a very early example of excellent leadership that I still carried with me when I became a leader in the Army. Okay. I mean, that was a fantastic leader. Other leaders that you saw, in some of these things growing up, maybe Duke or General Hawk and, in G.I. Joe, Leonardo and Ninja Turtles, maybe even a little Papa Smurf, he's kind of more of a Yoda mentor-y kind, but but these are the things I watched growing up. And then as I got a little older, James T. Kirk, Jean-Luc Picard, Benjamin Sisko. Okay. These people were leaders. All right. These Catherine Janeway, Jonathan Archer, William Adama. I can name these sci-fi, main characters who were excellent leaders, that I know it's writing, but I'm like, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I like that. I like how this character is portrayed. I like what he or she is doing. That strikes me as someone I would follow. And of course, I'm also watching. Once I became a leader, I'm like, nope, that's not. Nope, nope, that's not it.
Well, and this brings me back to way back when we were talking about Game of Thrones, and I wanted to ask you then, like, what you thought of.
But I also am not saying that, like, I was picking it like James Kirk and going, as I grew older, go, nope, bad leader. No, that wasn't where I was going. Like, as I became a leader, I'm like, oh, now it's easier to pick out things that are really not good as leaders. Is there plenty of things the writers have gotten wrong about being a good leader? Sure. Okay. But again, most of my strong examples of leadership consistently came from science fiction. You know, who were great
Yeah.
leaders in Star Wars?
I mean, you had Mon Mothma.
No,
Are we
just go
talking
from
about
when we were
original
kids.
series, original trilogy? Yeah,
Original
I mean,
trilogy and bleed into the. You can bleed
Princess
into the.
Leia.
Right, Leia. Leia was a good leader. Okay, that's a lot of things that people tend to forget. Leia was an actual leader. Han was
And by the
still,
way,
particularly
we
the.
never thought anything separate. We never thought anything different about that. By the way, like she was a woman who was a good leader. That's all we knew, and it
I
was
mean,
fine.
yeah, she was a
Like
gorgeous woman,
we
but
didn't think
she was
twice
no
about her
nonsense.
being a woman. By the way,
I mean, the metal bikini was kind of
well, that was a moment. That was a
yeah,
moment, but we didn't think
but
twice. I mean, she could still lead.
I mean, the guy put her in a metal bikini, and what'd she do? She choked the shit out of him with a
Yeah,
chain that he shackled her to.
he died.
Okay,
He died doing what he loved best, man.
here's the thing: like multiple times, Leia took charge of her own rescue. She just
Yeah,
needed a hand to get through the door, and once she took care of her own rescue. Okay, she was
yeah. She
nobody's
grabbed the
fool.
blaster from Luke and just like started
Uh-huh.
blasting in the hallway
Exactly.
before she jumped through the trash chute
Yep.
or the
Leia,
vent or whatever it was.
Leia was a good leader. Okay. Granted, there was plenty of other randos who, would pop up for a scene here or there in the original trilogy. You don't really see a ton. You get a little more as you move into some of the various expanded Star Wars media now. But, you know, you get such fantastic influences. Doesn't matter if they're fictitious. They're well written, well acted. There's feeling to it. If it makes you feel something, that's important. So
Well,
William Shatner, I sent you a link today. Did you see the Shatner thing that I
no,
sent you?
no. I mean, I saw it. I didn't watch
Shatner
it.
is
I'm sorry.
writing a book. He is writing another book, and it's supposed to be for the fans. It's like William Shatner and You is the name of the book. And if you pre-order it, you can send your own story about maybe what Shatner meant to you or how he might have, made it some sort of impact. Okay. It's kind of an interesting thought process, right? So listen to this. One of a kind book that puts you in the story. Invites fans to submit their story, pre-order today, and reserve your first edition and a chance to be interviewed by Shatner himself. How it works. You pre-order the book, first edition copy, and unlock the access to story submission. You submit your story, tell how William Shatner has impacted your life. It gets reviewed, and it could be shortlisted for interviews with Shatner. And if you get selected, he will interview you, and you will be in the book.
I don't know if I could do that, man. I mean, I have a perfect idea. I mean, I don't know if it's perfect, but I think I have a good idea. I don't know if I could do it. Like, and here I am sounding like George McFly right over here.
It's
Another
a very
sci-fi reference.
interesting it's a very interesting thought, though, isn't it?
Oh, very, very.
But but again, how Shatner might have influenced you, how one of his characters might have influenced you. But for me, like the weekly great leaders I saw on screen were like Starfleet captains,
Well,
mostly.
that's I mean, that's it. And I was thinking about, I mentioned to my family, like extended family, about how influential Star Trek was to me in teaching me morals. Like, what was the right thing to do in a certain circumstance that wasn't so cut and dry. And in reality, it taught me Bringing it back to politics in a little way. I have been asked, why don't I run for local office around here? And I'm like, well, why do you think I would make a good politician? And they're like, well, here's why. Because you can't be bought, Mac. Like you have a moral code, and I would vote the hell out of you. And I'm like, okay, great. Now stepping back from that, using that as a baseline, anyone who has a moral code in politics is never going to make it. Just FYI, just FYI. It just won't work. It won't work. But that being said, I'm happy to know that moral code is based off of things I've learned from Star Trek. From knowing what it is to be a leader, knowing what it is to make the sacrifice, knowing what it is to not compromise your own morals in the face of a greater movement.
Well,
that makes sense.
Yeah. But the interesting thing also becomes, like, I mean, somebody wrote a book like 25 years ago. Everything I need to know in life I learned from watching Star Trek, right?
The takeoff of everything I need to know I learned in kindergarten.
Right. But there is a lot of great morality that comes out of Star Trek. From Picard telling Data that, it is possible for you to do everything right and still lose.
Yeah.
It's not failure. It's just life. All right.
It's just life.
You could work your hardest. I mean, all you have to do is watch sports. You work your entire life. You swim your best race. You run your best race. You get this is something I've been telling my kid. She swims her best race, gets her best time, and still comes in third. Is that a failure? No. It's you against
moral
the
my
clock,
first book,
really.
by the way. That's my first book. That's my first book. That's the moral of my first book. You could do everything right and still lose.
Yeah.
Like, there's a very pointed chapter I have near the end where that very thing is discussed.
Your first duty is to the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talked about the drumhead, when the first, person's freedom is trod upon, that forges the first link in the chain or whatever it is, these are modern day morality plays.
The first speech is censured.
Exactly. That whole thing, and then, and just think, hear it from me, right? So you watch an episode like for the uniform, you see Cisco lose his shit with Eddington. You betrayed your uniform. You betrayed.
I can hear it in my head.
I can't. I could never give that justice.
You can't. You can never do that impression. No one can. only Avery could. Only Avery Brooks could.
So good too.
Yeah, you betrayed your uniform. I can't do it. Like
it was such a visceral rage that came out. Like it was not just like a low growl like Martok when he's chuckling. It's this like roar, and that was Cisco at his finest. But then speaking of Cisco, when he's pushing Nog in that fantastic scene that
Nog wants
Avery
to
Brooks
apply
is
for
Starfleet, and like
I saw
Avery
that
Brooks
scene
is
recently.
pushing,
and
and Aaron Eisenberg, to his credit, raised to the left. He had to step his game up, and he did, and he crushed it. Why is it so important? I don't want to end up like my father. And he goes through the whole. My
father wants to make money, but he doesn't have the lobes.
And neither do I. My father is a mechanical genius. If he was born anywhere else, he could have been a chief engineer of a starship. But he's been trying to chase profit, and he's not good at it.
Right.
And
so the most he can hope for is to inherit my uncle's bar. And he just sits there waiting for it. I don't want that.
It's almost It's a much better way of like Varsity Blues. I don't want your life.
Yeah, very much better. Yes.
So much better. The accent was terrible.
Well, I think
Terrible.
you did all right, and I mean you lived in Texas for a little bit, but that's okay.
No, not my accent. His.
Oh,
I don't want your life.
I'm going to give James Vanderbeek a little bit of a pass. That's fine. By the way,
Look,
Varsity Blues, killer movie. By the way, I loved that.
it was. I'm not.
I
I'm
loved
not
it in
saying
high
it
school
wasn't.
too. Like, and
Yeah,
I
it
wasn't
was.
even a football fan back then. So, although all they did was do a no huddle offense. That's all they did. That was revolutionary in '98, apparently. So,
Yeah, but a lot of high schools didn't do much of that. Like we had
I
like
know,
3
I
no huddle
know.
plays.
I get it. I understand. I'm just saying, like, I'm watching it in 2016 going, well, that's how college does it all the time now, thanks to Oregon. Fuck
Now,
those guys. So,
well, I mean, but again, there's impact in that. And if you watched the episode or the wonderful documentary, What We Left Behind, and you
mhm.
have Aaron Eisenberg, getting emotional as he's telling, the camera, the audience, Nog's story, him being wounded, losing a leg, being so impactful, to veterans and them coming to him and telling him about their post traumatic stress and what it meant to them, or people who have found even in the 90s, like finding the character of Dax to be like a gay icon, how she didn't care. She hooked up with her ex-wife, all of this. Like there's people found ways for these characters, not just Star Trek, but a lot there, like the story of James Doohan meeting a fan who was suicidal, and he's telling her, I want to see you at the next convention and at the next convention, and so on. And then she eventually comes up and tells him that his support allowed her to gave her the strength to be able to get herself back together, and went, I don't know, back to school and became an engineer. Or the people who
Yeah.
wrote to Leonard to DeForest
Leonard
Kelly,
Nimoy?
or
DeForest Kelly.
like people who would come up to these Star Trek doctors and engineers and Spock and like a scientist and go, I'm a scientist, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer because of what I saw from you on the screen, right?
Yeah.
Me, and this goes back to the question, like what, some people think, Star Trek's always been woke and it's always been very liberal, and it's just had good message. And what would somebody who is like me, a
I
career
would argue it
soldier,
was never
somebody,
woke or it was never liberal. It was humanist. But keep going.
right, it's a very human story, the morality. What does, what would a soldier, what would, when all of Starfleet's all about, oh, let's try to de-escalate, oh, let's not get into a fight. But at some point you see you have, if your principles aren't worth fighting for, then they're not worth having.
Yeah.
That's what Deep Space Nine finally showed us. Oh, Roddenberry would have hated, the Dominion War. He might not have loved the idea of it, but I think he would have liked what they did with it, because it's like Cisco says, it's easy to be a saint in paradise.
Sure. I agree.
So, I
Yeah.
don't know. These are just thoughts. These are how I took it, how it impacted me as a soldier, as a man, as a person. I also, learned some things, saw examples of being a good dad, maybe a decent husband from some things. I mean, I also, of course, just tried to be a good person. But
There's something about that. It's like, can you just be a good person, please? And like it is, heck, anyone can be good if he wants to be. The true test of one's mettle is being good when one has an innate inclination towards evil. Wow, that came back, didn't it? So, well, sir, I think we covered this pretty well. I'm sure that we'll return to the subject at some point.
Hey man, we're losing you.
It's because of the music. How about now?
Good.
Yeah, of course, because the fucking music is going to be doing that. All right, fine. Well, I'm sure we'll be returning to it. We've got a big month ahead of us. Our 4th year anniversary is coming up. We got a crossover coming up with these Sci-Fi guys. That's my fault, by the way, everybody. So just FYI. We're looking towards having Dave from the Sci-Fi guys come on. Yeah, big month ahead of us. You know,
Yep.
We don't even know what we're doing for the 4th anniversary either. So I'm going to put that on you. I'm going to delegate that responsibility to you, sir. So that's what a leader does. You're welcome. So on that note, everybody, until the next time, you guys keep dreaming. We'll keep working. I am PS McKay. We are those Sci-Fi guys. It's out there.
And I'm DT Cavman. Tune in for some special reporting coming up from this weekend's Boston Fan Expo. And I'll see y'all on the high ground.
Those Sci-Fi Guys is an independent broadcast by Alpha Sci Productions, produced by DT Cavman and PS McKay. Ocean by music by Aiden under Creative Commons license. For more information on upcoming episodes, follow PS McKay on X at PS McKay or go to thosesci-fi-guys.com for past episode information. You can now find us on Spotify, so head on over there for our latest episodes. But don't worry, you can still find us on Apple. We're also live on Rumble, and you can find us on YouTube with live video podcasts and Facebook. So be sure to leave a like and a comment just to let us know how we're doing.